right at top, triple W. You know, one of the kind of obvious ones is take out generator name and author tags, anything that would let somebody know what kind of CMS was running on the backside. Strip comments is pretty cool. Mod proxy HTML will let you put a simple one-line strip comments on and rip out all your comments out of your code. The one problem I found with it is if you're doing not quite standard XHTML with some JavaScript and things like that, it'll get a little confused, and sometimes you'll mangle some JavaScript. The answer from the developer is you have crappy XHTML and you need to fix it, but if you have that and you're trying to protect it, you may not be able to go that route. You may have to get a little more granular in how you strip comments. Same deal here, XML firewalling, mod line edit. If you take application text HTML, feed it through mod filter, and then through line edit, you can strip fault codes. You can strip, C data that's outside of a set of params that is good, rip it out of the HTML before it gets out to the outside. So also, long run, I think you can do a lot of neat stuff with basically everything, in my mind, that you can do with the XML firewall boxes with mod transform and mod publisher, which will allow you to do things like WSL enforcement and defining specific sort of lengths for fields and all this kind of stuff inside SOAP envelopes. It gets a little trickier when you've got kind of binary blobs and things like that, but I think you can do the same thing, a lot more than what you're doing probably now. So, mod rewrite, mod proxy HTML. Probably everybody knows this. This is what everybody does for like search engine optimization, which is let's take a site that's like param1 equals value 2, value 3, blah, 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 and let's rewrite it and make it /// so that Googlebot likes us, right? Well, the thing about that, for one, is that if you do that, you've actually got to modify site code. So that doesn't do us any good in our scenario where we're saying this is a black box. Okay, and I'm still on search engine optimization, right? So this is BlackHat, shut up, right? Well, the deal is, there's a couple things with that. I've heard people say, well, we do that so we're secure. Well, it turns out, there's nothing to keep somebody from making a direct request for the ASP or JSP if you do it that way. All that's doing is what's linked on your site is not displaying your whatever underlying platform. But it's still all there, and the gets will still work for all that stuff. But it's kind of cool. You're taking, .aspx and you're presenting it as, /foo, /mu, whatever. So this is the deal. And I don't know why. Maybe more people do this. I don't know of too many people that are doing a lot with this. You can take mod rewrite, and you can set up a series of params. In this case, we're doing it with like the search engine optimized kind of /value, but you could do this with a query string. It doesn't matter. Just write something that says A through Z, cap A, little a, 0 through 9, X number of characters, and set up X number of params for what's valid for your site. There are ways to get through that. There are ways to defeat it, but it's a hell of a lot more than what most people have. So now here's the deal. So once we have that, we still have the ability to insert stuff after the fact. We've got that on the front end, but we could still request the param, the actual URL with params and everything directly. Okay, so put a cleanup rule. I'm a firewall guy, was back in the day. So put a cleanup rule. Build param lines, mod rewrite expressions for what's valid on your site. Your last rule is .* goes to some error handler. Everything else is going to get sent to that. So if you don't match that set of expressions for what's valid on the site, everything else goes there. Along with that, I should mention, add that question mark to the end of the rewrite expression, which will rip out any queries, because then you're saying, here's my query string, and it's blank. So any kind of query strings that come in on the front end don't make it to the backside. So I intentionally ran some vulnerable stuff and set this in front of it just to see what would happen. Right now, there's a bunch of people that are hitting like some, PHP bugs and some stuff in Joomla, Mambo, Limbo, and all this stuff that are on like commos config and whether you're running in register globals mode, etc. So I threw a bunch of boxes out there running vulnerable versions of these apps, stuck this in front of it, and just kind of, and I'm not telling you it was academic, formalized kind of testing. I promise you I'll get to that point. Give me like another year. But what I found was it didn't work. The little Perl-based web bots that are running around and hitting sites and then using that as a launching point for other sites to run code using the file inclusion vulnerabilities and everything else, they don't work because it doesn't match. You're doing a file include and you're saying http://badguysite.com shell.php, and that doesn't match our expression, so it gets dropped. So, and the other one is what's kind of cool is if you use an error handler that's a custom URL like this, like errorhandler.php or whatever, you can sit and tail that and see, okay, here's my drops. Here's my drop log of everything that's going through. You do need to define rules down here at the bottom for anything that's like JavaScript, CSS, graphics, anything that doesn't match your sort of generated URLs, because otherwise that stuff's going to get dropped too, and then you'll have a site that has no graphics. People don't like that. So works better in links, so it's fine by me, but most people kind of want banners and junk. So that takes care of gets, and that takes care of generated URLs. But what are you going to do about validating post? You've got form fields, and you've got SQL injection in your form fields, and you've got username problems with all the forms on your site because there's no validation. Well, that's where you got to use mod security. For the most part, rewrite is not going to do that. It's going to look at the get. And when you do a post, it will validate the post, but it's only going to validate the URI in the post, not the content. So set filter scan post on, and then define post payloads for the things that are valid in your post. And define all those post payloads, and set up expressions that are negative expressions for anything outside of a credit card number that's X number of characters and numeric. And something cool about mod security with that is that it has the check Unicode encoding stuff and check URL encoding stuff. So it's going to actually normalize all that and rip all that out. So that one is a one, and there's no way around it being a one. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty much, I guess that's pretty much it on the form post validation. It takes a little more work, especially if you got a lot of forms, but you got to do it once. And your developers will tell you when it doesn't work again, because when they turn up a new form, it won't work, which is cool. It's kind of like firewalls. If you have solid firewall rule set, somebody turns on a new service and they want to know why it doesn't work, well, that's when you add the rule in the firewall. So you get to find out. So rather than just let's pass everything to our web apps and let our developers decide what's going to go out there and be public. So some extras and extra goodies. If you don't know about gotroot.com, it's really cool. It's a group of guys. It's a lot like Bleeding Snort. It's a group of guys that are developing SIGs for kind of every active, web attack at the moment, and every time advisories come out and stuff, they're kind of adding stuff there. Modsecurity.org doesn't do really active maintenance of SIGs. These guys are like a community and a forum and a listserv that kind of do that. So it's like I say, it's a lot like Bleeding Snort. You can go out and build a cron that runs nightly, hourly, whatever you want to do, pull down the latest SIGs, restart your web security gateway, and integrate SIGs for any kind of new attacks. You can also write your own, add them, submit them to these guys, contribute, join us, that's cool. So yeah, that's something definitely I would check out, gotroot.com, if you don't know about it. Write, mod security SIGs for error leakage. We kind of talked about that with line edit. You can do the same thing there with cold fusion errors, ASP errors, throw them to a canned error page, rip out any kind of junk that's coming out. One thing that I've had to do in a few instances with proxy kind of stuff in general is be able to front-end proxy for SSL applications. Stunnel's a cool way to do that. You run it in client mode. You connect back to loopback. Stuff comes out and in. Now you've got to use a lot of times proxy HTML to rewrite some of the stuff coming back, but you can proxy even and do a filtering scenario and stuff for an app that's SSL on the backside. Modauth, LDAP, DBM, and everything. Good place to wrap authentication if you so choose. You kind of get a single sign-on kind of functionality out of that because your authentication is actually to the proxy. So it could work across multiple apps or load balancing, stuff like that. Mod evasive, throttle your scan, slow down, number of requests, limit them on a, to a reasonable number on a per IP. And, while you're doing it, go ahead and run snort inline. Why not? It's a good place for it. You've got a spot where all your web traffic is going in and out, so, go ahead and throw that in there just for giggles and as a little extra. That's about it. Web Security Gateway is at wsgw.sfnet. I can't upload it because I can't use my airport card. So I guess it'll be after the con when I can get to a wired connection. So go ahead and check it out when you get back from the con. The tarballs will be out there. There's some build scripts that'll basically set this guy up, and you can kind of run it and tinker What I don't have right now and what I really need from everybody is I built it as a kind of modular Apache config where you can kind of include, you know, modsecurity.conf, include lineedit.conf, et cetera, for different kinds of filtering. What I really want to do is include joomla.conf, drupal.conf, you know, owa.conf, and have a set of standard filtering rules that you can use for any sort of canned web application and enforce these kind of things on it. So please help. And that's about it. I hope you had fun. You guys rock. Thanks.